What is up, YouTube? Back in another video. In today's video, man, we're going over the best strategies for making classes in Modern Warfare 3 2024 Season 3 Reloaded. I made a video like this a couple months ago. I think it was like 2 months ago. I think it was like back in like Season 1 or 2 of this game. I made a video on it, but we've had a lot of new attachments, a lot of new stuff added. And I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that some people might have trouble with. So I see this a lot in game where I see people have really shitty class setups, or they make builds and they have things that contradict themselves. So I wanted to make this for those people out there who are interested in learning how to build a class properly in Call of Duty, because it can get really complicated nowadays, right? It's not like the old days where you could pop on three of your favorite perks, throw a suppressor on your gun, and you were set, right? Nowadays, there's, hundreds of thousands of attachments in the game. I think the last time I checked, and I think they said there's around 3,000 attachments in the game. There's hundreds of perks now in the game. We got boots and sneakers and gloves and gear and field upgrades and vests. And there's a lot of information all at once towards you, and it can be really confusing sometimes. So, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You already know what to do. Thank you guys for the support, by the way. Yesterday's video is doing phenomenally well. The Black Ops 6 leaks video. You guys have been knocking out of the park recently. All the videos have been doing extremely well. And I couldn't have been more thankful for you guys. So appreciate yous. I'm going to keep putting out the work and keep grinding. And yeah, without further ado, let's hop into the video. So, first thing you want to do is name your class. It's really simple, but honestly can really help you. Because once you name the class, you can name it for whatever purpose you have. Now, I like to stick with simple names. As you can see right now, I'm currently working on the one-trick camo, so everything's named one-trick because, I'm having the guns that I need to do, and I just name them one-trick. But normally I would name them things like the Ace is an ACR class, or this is a FAMAS class, this is a sniper class. And what that does is allows you to kind of dictate what's on that class, and you can better judge what you need for that class. So, for example, a sniper class, you may not need munitions, right? You may want attack insert or something, and it can be really nice to have the option to not have to switch classes all around every time you want to use a sniper. You can have a sniper-specific class. And sure, you're not going to have, you can have a bunch of snipers. I know people that only snipe, so they have like 50 different sniper classes, right? That's fine. But if you're a guy like me who is a universal player, so someone that's using AR, shotties, LMGs, pistols, knives, snipers, and they're using the whole 9 yards, then it will be nice to have a specific class that's always tied to a specific type of category or weapon, right? They give you 12 custom classes maximum in this game. There's not nearly that many that are Pacific categories, so you could do a Pacific category for every primary weapon in the game, and you'd be fine. Actually, there might be exactly 12 now. Actually, there's ARs, SMGs, battle rifles, shotguns, LMGs, marksman snipers, melees, pistols. But we're not going to count the secondaries entirely. So there's only like 8 categories in total. So if you were someone who wants to have like a specific AR class, specific battle rifle class, specific SMG, and so on, you can do that. And what that will allow you to do is better dictate what weapons you're using at what times. What I mean by this is, say you have an ACR class, but you name that your AR class. What that will now allow you to do is have an AR build. So an AR-based field upgrade, an AR set of perks, and a secondary that works well with ARs. Say maybe like a pistol or a knife. And you can always have that set for you, and you never have to worry about it. All you have to worry about is switching your weapon, your primary, your assault rifle. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I have a community builder thing right here. I haven't updated it. It's supposed to be back to one trick because I have finally updated all the community blueprints. So if you're looking for builds for assault rifles, SMGs, etc., for Modern Warfare 3 guns, I have all 50 guns kitted out over there on community. I'll have a link down below to my community profile in the comments. So make sure you check that out if you're looking for builds. Probably the best builds you'll find around here on YouTube, around the game, period. Because I build for Universal. See, some of these YouTubers will build guns specifically for MP, for Warzone, for zombies. When I build guns, they're universal, so you can use them throughout any mode. The only thing you might want to change in like some guns is you might want to put the bigger mag on for zombies, but that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's a universal. So if you're looking for that, that's a great place to go look for builds. Obviously, I'm going to try to be working on the videos too, but that's another can of worms with this game anyway. So build your classes around specific groups, and then you'll have a few extra classes, and I like to call them free classes. I usually have 2 free build classes at a time. I won't necessarily do SMGs and shotguns and all that. I'll usually have like 3 or 4 ARs, 2 SMGs, an LMG maybe, and then a sniper, and then the free classes end up usually having like battle rifles or MW2 guns, right? And what this allows you to do is kind of have a more of a nice switch up of guns, so that way you're not having to use the same gun every match. Now, once your class is named, some things to really take in consideration is you can put on your vest first, is what I recommend. And why I say put the vest on first is because that's going to dictate what perks you can run. For example, say this B50 class, right? This F2000. I have quick grip gloves, covert, and EOD and ghost, right? This is pretty much my standard 4 perks that I use. I don't really switch off these too often because this is kind of the best. Although, might be switching to tac mask here shortly because I've been playing a lot of shipment recently for the one-trick camo grind, and the gases on shipment, they're rough. It's a rough experience, but you see there's a lot of gears, there's lots of gloves and shoes to pick from, and so if you pick your vest correctly, you will have a better chance of building a better vest, right? Most people will stick with infantry because infantry is like the standard, and so if you don't understand vests, you're probably going to stay with infantry because it's so simple vest to use. But the problem with infantry is you don't get a 4th gear slot. So if you run infantry, you can only run Ghost, right? Or you can only run EOD, or you can only run whatever it may be, right? And you can't run anything else. Meanwhile, Engineer, you get all 4 gear sets, but you get 2 tacticals, but you lose a lethal. Gunner vest, you get another primary, but you lose a gear and a boot. Demolition, you lose a gear, but you gain 2 lethals, and as well as a tactical. What I usually run is a CTC comm vest. Now, this is something I'm going to be switching off of here shortly. Probably as this grind goes on, I'm going to be playing with some other vests. I think today I'm going to mess around with some other vests today. I want to do some testing. And the reason I'm saying this is because the CTC comm vest gives you 4 perks, 2 gear, and 1 boot, and 1 vest. I'm sorry, 1 glove. I don't know why I said vest. And then also gives you your field upgrade, so you still have that field upgrade to use to your disposal at any given time. Unlike any other of the vests, a lot of the vests will get rid of a gear slot. The only one that gives you an extra gear slot is Gunslinger. Gunslinger does give you an extra gun slot, but that's also only 2 secondary weapons. So unless you're grinding secondaries, this is an odd choice to pick. Like the modular, compression, assassin, ninja, overkill, demolition, and gunner, infantry, all those vests take away your 4th gear slot. Again, not a terrible thing if that's what you're wanting, but it can be frustrating when you lose that 4th gear slot, especially if you get used to playing with the 4th gear. Now, once you pick your vest, depending on the vest that you choose, to depend on what you should choose for your lethal and tacticals, right? So I'm going to put on infantry for the point of this video. Now, say I'm putting on infantry. Do I want to run a stun? Well, I don't know, because let's see what infantry vest does first, right? So infantry vest will increase your attack sprint duration and reduces your refresh time. Now, there is some secret things that this does do, okay? From what I understand, it does increase your swap speed and reload speed a small amount, right? A very, very small amount. And so, as you might want to put on this build, instead of stun, you may want to put a stim on, okay? That speed boost and health. Remember, stims aren't as OP as they used to be, so keep that in mind. They're not as reliable as they used to be. But you may not want to put a stim on if you're playing more defensive. If you're playing more defensive, you might want to put an EMD mine on, or even a shock stick, or even scatter mines, okay? So it really comes back to that idea of what do you truly want, right? What are you looking for? Some things I would say to stay away from in this game in general, I don't really find them useful, would be the snapshot grenade, battle rage, um, the uh, EMD grenade. This is like a kind of like the mine, similar to the mine. But I mean, if it's either you're either going to use the mine or you're going to like the grenade, right? It's up to you to decide that. But I would really stick away from the grenade. I feel like the mine may be more useful for you, right? Because you can place it somewhere and forget about it, and then when someone walks by, they hit it. But anyway, those are some things I would stick away from unless that's specifically something you're targeting. I know some people are using decoys to get the new camo faster, but I don't think that's actually how that works, but it is what it is. So if you want to use decoys, you can. They nerf the XP you get from them pretty hard, though. And then the lethals, man. The lethals. Well, there's a bunch of lethals in here that are good. The grenades are good. Sticky grenades, throwing stars, and throwing knives. Some people I've been seeing recently been using a shit ton of these thermite grenades. Or I'm sorry, they call them thermobaric grenades. And then there's obviously the Breacher Drone, but the Breacher Drone has been nerfed pretty heavily, so it's not as OP as it used to be. And yeah, so there's a bunch of different options there for you as well. Again, stick away from proximity mines. Proximity mines are pretty dog shit in this game right now because you can just lay under them and not die, which is nice because you don't die to nail mines as much. But there is perks out there that allow you to like basically walk right past these things and they don't go off. So keep that in mind. Field upgrades, same situation. What are you looking for? If you're a guy who wants to go on long streaks and get nukes, then definitely run munitions box. That's why I run it. But if you're someone who's all about the XP and capturing objectives, then maybe the ACS or the comm scrambler or even the DDoS, right, may be your option of choice. Okay. Some things to stick away from because they're either not good, not useful, or they're just bad would be the recon drone, the smoke airdrop, the deployable cover, enhanced vision goggles, the inflatable decoy. Okay, those few things I would stay away from. They're not going to help you. They're kind of just wasting a slot in your field upgrades. I wish they would have added the feature to have 2 field upgrades like we had last year, because if they did, I would totally say run trophy system with like munitions box or something. Because the trophies are pretty good to have, just especially for playing small maps. And then when you're picking perks, I'm not going to go through every perk because I've already done this in a past video. But if we're going to go through perks, just pick stuff that makes sense, right? Like I want to be able to say, for example, here, quick gloves. Quick gloves increases the weapon swap speed by a minimum of 40%. Swap speed bonus differs between weapons, right? So I want to be able to switch weapons faster. I do. I want to be able to pull my pistol out quicker than, reloading. Now, there is some guns that, like this glove right here, commando gloves, this could be a really good option. This is something I swap out pretty often with the quick grip gloves and the commando gloves. It really depends. The problem with commando gloves, do keep this in mind. I saw a video on this recently where the commando gloves doesn't actually increase speed for some weapons. Some weapons it doesn't help. And there's too many guns in this game to keep track of which ones don't get helped and which ones do get helped. So keep that in mind. If you feel like the gun's not like reloading quicker, you're not crazy, okay? You're not mentally unstable. That is just because the game is not doing that, okay? There's a really cool video, which I don't know the name of the video, but some of you guys might know the video if you've probably heard it. But he goes into very, very high detail of like the actual milliseconds that it gives you bonus. And there's some guns that's actually negatively impacting their reload speed when you have these on. So definitely keep that in mind. There's also, again, other gloves that you can choose from that have different advantages. If you're someone who's going on long streaks, you could run scavenger gloves, right? Because that will give you, that you don't have to run the munitions box. You can run something else, right? It just really depends on what you're vibing with, right? Make sure you're reading the descriptions. I can't stress that enough. Read the descriptions. Understand what it's saying to you, and then break it down, okay? If you have to break something down, like that's super long, I'm trying to find one that's super long. Most of these are pretty simple to understand, but there's some in here that probably, some of these perks that are probably like a big paragraph of shit. Okay, break it down in sentences, understand it, take your time, and it will help you better in the long run, and being able to make you able to speed through. Like, I can speed through a class and make it in under a minute, right? Some people may take them a couple minutes to make a class, and that's fine. It's just different levels of understanding, right? Once you understand the different things in the game to use, you can kind of break it down and understand it a little better, right? It's just like school, right? If you having trouble reading a paragraph, you know what the teacher says, break it down, break it in chunks, understand little by little, then combine that knowledge that you have. Same thing. The shoes, honestly, I'm be real, the only shoes you should be running in this game at this point is covert. There's nothing else in this game shoe-wise that is any type of... The only time I would say you're not running covert is if you're running, I think, what is it, Assassin's Vest, I believe it is, that has the built-in covert sneakers. But that will, I think, take away your boots or something, so take that into a consideration. But, yeah, don't pick anything other than covert. This game has audio. If you want to be a part of the No Audio clan, use that for sure. And then the gear. The gear has tons of options for you. Again, read the description. I'm not going to say that enough this video. Read the description. Some of them will state what happens if you combine them with other things, especially if you have the vest on, okay? The vest will literally tell you too, hey, this item and this item will contradict each other, and so you will not get the effects, okay? It will say that to you. So read the descriptions. Trust me. If you're not going to read the description, then you're going purely off what I run. I run either TAC Mass, EOD padding. I definitely run Ghost. Sometimes I'll run, where is it? I think it's the Mission. Yeah, I think it's the Conduction Heads, actually. I think it's the Conduction Heads that I usually run too sometimes. This kind of gives the same effects as CCC Convest, I believe. I think it's kind of similar things, but that's what I used to run a little bit too. But obviously you can run Blacklight too. Blacklight's like Tracker, High Alert. You got High Alert over here. And there's a bunch of other options you can run as well. So keep that in mind. Okay. So, the huge chunk of this is done. Okay, that was the longest part. Now, building the guns is a whole nother can of worms, but it's not too bad. Just stay with me. When you're building a gun, keep in mind two different factors. Accuracy and speed. Okay? There's no range. We don't care about that. We don't care about the ADS. We don't care about the mag size. None of that. We care about accuracy and speed. How fast you can maneuver with the gun, and how accurate your shots will be when they hit the target, okay? Now, this is actually a terrible build because it's a BP. The BP is broken. Let me go to something that's less broken. Let's go to the bow. Bow is not broken. So the bow, you can see here, I got a barrel, I got a stock, I got a rear grip, I got a magazine, and I got an underbarrel, okay? The stock and the rear grip are going to be my speed, right? They're going to be my mobility, right? They're going to be focused. When I build a build, 99% of the time, I'm always putting my mobility on the stock and on the grip, on the rear grip. And here's why. The underbarrel attachments always will and forever will be superior when it comes to recoil control compared to the other attachments, okay? And that's not including muzzle, though. Muzzle is currently in the game the best superior way for recoil control because we have the Jack BFB. For the people that don't know what the Jack BFB is, it's this right here. This Jack BFB gives you, well, I can't see it because I don't have, I have the barrel on, but it gives you like a 60% increase to all recoils, okay? So you have a serious recoil control buff. I think it knocks your recoil down to like 10 or something, which is like insanely low. Keep that in mind. So when you're building that, make sure you're focusing on the mobility. But there is a caveat to that rule, because you don't want to be the guy that's running around on multiplayer with no fucking stock on his gun, okay? I mean, no fucking stock. What's a good gun to showcase this on? Let's look here. Let's see. Like this, I think this gun has a no stock option, I believe. Don't be this guy, all right? Yes, this gun has it. Don't be this guy, okay? Don't be this guy who pulls up the stats and goes, oh, this has all those mobility buffs. I'm going to use that. But he's not paying attention at the 40% increase, the 36% increase to all the recoils, okay? You are going to absolutely kill yourself when it comes to recoil control, because that 40% is going to just annihilate your gun, okay? The horizontal and vertical, those two things really don't matter that much anyway. They matter, but nothing crazy. The thing that can be concerning for you is that recoil gun can kick. Okay, that first option, that 40%, that is the big boy one. That is that the recoil gun kick is like the main recoil you're seeing in the game. Okay, um, then on top of that, they're not reading the stats. They see all the bonuses and they leave. Okay, they put it on, but they don't realize the flinch resistance is so high as well. See that 33% increase in flinch resistance, right? You don't want the flinch to be increased, right? You ever been shooting at somebody and they have like no flinch and they just beam you across the map? Say for example they're sniping. That's because they're probably not running anti flinch things. They're not running bonus flinch things. Sorry, they're running anti flinch things, right? They're running things that reduce the flinch, so that when you get shot, you don't flinch nearly as much. All right, so that's that. Now, there's 2 attachments you can add on any gun that either will be based on personal opinion, or depends on how fast of a player you are. So some guns I'll run the high max mag. Unfortunately for me, I take into consideration I always try to pick the middle mag, okay? Because like if I'm saying I'm playing something like DayZ, for my DayZ guys out there, I'll pick the 60s because they're the highest for the M4. That makes sense. Because that's a game where ammo matters, right? You're collecting ammo, you're filling mags, so it makes sense. On Call of Duty, you have infinite ammo all the time, right? You can literally empty your mag, die, and you get more ammo back, right? Or you can put like a scavenger box or whatever on. So you don't need the higher rounds. Like you'll see people running around with these 100-round mags. You don't need that, right? Look at the negatives. Okay, take a second, pause the video, look at all these negatives. Okay, if your reload quickness is down by 64%, ADS is down by 32%, your reload on empty is down by 45%. That is horrible, dude. That means the time it takes you to reload is 4.8 seconds on empty, 4.1 on full, or just, however much ammo you have on reload. Okay, which is terrible. Meanwhile, with this mag, okay, I save about 3 seconds for a reload, or you can go this one, obviously, and you have a 2.5 second reload or 3.3 second reload, but you only have 20 rounds. So take into consideration the situation, right? The 50 rounder, sure. Does it have some negatives? Yeah. But is it as bad as this one? Absolutely not. Okay. Now the reload quickness is 60% on this and 64 on this. That is still pretty bad. Unfortunately, that is the standard for pretty much all 50s. 50s will all pretty much have 60% reduction. So that's something you have to think about when you're putting the mags on. Now, every gun's different. Some guns have 30s, 45s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Who knows, right? So just look at the stats. Make sure you're putting on the right thing. Optics have no negatives anymore, so keep that in mind. They have changed optics, so they no longer have a negative, unless like they're heavy scopes. But you'll see here some of these have negatives, but like the ones I have currently favorited, so these are the best optics in the game, 110%. Okay, Slate, Morris Stott, the Model 2023, MK3, AW Gen 1. Those are your top like 5 optics in the game. They have no negative impacts. Okay, so you can use any 5 of those, and you will not have a negative impact to your gaming experience. Some of these are actually beneficial, right? So keep that in mind. Now, what about the accuracy, LS? Well, the accuracy comes down to your underbarrel, your muzzle, and your barrel, okay? Because if you have a muzzle that has damage buffs or recoil buffs that helps with those 2 categories, then I would consider that an accuracy attachment. Same with the underbarrel. If the underbarrel is helping with recoil compensation, then it's a accuracy underbarrel, right? Now, I currently have been running a lot of more like speed-based underbarrels. You can see here the DR6 handstop is the better one for mobility. Has really good mobility stats compared to most of the underbarrels. So I would consider this speed right now, but obviously you could build this however you see fit. The barrels, now something to know about barrels. This is something I see a lot of, and it frustrates me. So when looking at a barrel, you want to have a lot of effective damage range and minimum damage range. You want to have those high, right? So, for example, this gun has 2 attachments that buffs damage range. But you see why I chose the one I chose and not the other one? anyone in the comments that says this without looking in the future video, like through the video any further, like fast forwarding, gets a little high five. All right, they get a high five, pat on their back. All right, and that is called. Are you ready for it? Velocity. Bullet velocity in this game specifically is so fucking important. In the past CODs, like last year's COD, I didn't really build for velocity, and that was fine because damage guns would oftentimes do or perform better than velocity, right? But this game, because of the TTK, the velocity is vital to your existence, right? You want to outfight someone in a firefight, you need velocity. Okay, you need it. It's a need. Sure, you lose some speed for STF and ADS, but it's not nearly as bad as, say, this barrel. This barrel gave recoil control, which is great, but also really hit your ADS pretty hard. This barrel gives 30% boost in velocity. So now, if you're really going for velocity and you really want to maximize your damage, if you put this barrel on with the ammo type that gives you a 15% boost to all three categories, so ammo, minimum, max, and velocity, that will maximize your damage output. Okay, you can't maximize your damage output any further than that. Okay, even if you put a suppressor on, you are maximizing it. Okay, because I believe most suppressors actually hurt velocity than they do benefit it. Now, one thing to note is. This is a long video, by the way. I'm sorry. I was really trying to make this quick, but there's just a lot of information. I don't want to overwhelm people with going too fast. One other thing to note is conversion kits, okay? Conversion kits are really weird because conversion kits can be the best thing about a gun or the worst. It just really depends. Currently, the Jack, I can't spit it out. Barrel kit. Oh my God, I'm looking at it. Why can't I spit it out? Oh my God. For the AMR9, for example, is trash, right? Look at all the negatives. Okay, the negatives are all over the fucking screen. Okay, literally all over the screen. There's negatives. So don't run it. Okay, but there might be some aftermarket kits that are fucking bomb, like this one right here for the BP50 currently. This one's a fire conversion kit. Okay, there is a lot of negatives, but there's also a lot of positives. You do hurt that damage range and that bullet velocity. But I am running attachments to counter that, right? I'm running the high grain rounds to kind of counter the negatives I lost, right? They basically cancel them out. And so make sure you're reading these conversion kits. There's a lot of conversion kits. I want to do a video breaking down every conversion kit and ranking it from 1 to 10 on its usability. That is something I'm working on for the future because there's a whole lot of conversion kits and attachments and stuff that they've added over the recent months. And it'll take a while to record all that. But the most important thing is to just read the descriptions, right? Read the advanced stats. If you're wondering, by the way, how I'm getting these advanced stats like this, like this, it'll tell you on the screen. For PlayStation guys, it's L2 trigger. For Xbox, it'll be whatever the equivalency is, and for PC, it'll be whatever the equivalency is for you guys. It'll state like in the menu right there. You'll see in the bottom left hand below the white bars. It shows the correct button to hit. So to do that, take the seconds to read it. Things not to worry too much about is the accuracy section and the damage section, because the range is usually more influential than the damage. The actual physical damage, a headshot, upper torso, lower torso, legs, and flinch, target flinch, those things are really not that big of a thing. It actually says in the notes on that thing too that the damage values are based on hits within the effective damage range. So if you can fuck with the effective damage range to make that higher, then those damage numbers will just automatically go up in game, right? So I'm going to worry about the damage range, the accuracy section. The four things you want to be concerned about is mobility, handling, recoil control, and range, right? Those are the things that you really want to focus on. The fire rate usually doesn't get changed by all that much of anything. I think the fire rate only really get changed if you have like a secondary something with the trigger, or if you're playing with any of the ammo types. Some ammo types increase the fire rate. So just keep that in mind. But that's, again, something that you really don't often have to look at. When building guns, I like to say the silver rule is to build a primary weapon that has good range, but build a secondary that can match, almost match that range, right? And what I say by this is so that if you have to reload and you have to switch your secondary, you want to be able to fight someone that you're currently fighting with an AR, right? Most guns in the game have the same range, pretty much. some SMGs, some pistols, and that don't have the same range. They kind of have a lot of recoil. But again, it comes down to recoil. So if you build your gun with no recoil, they will get the same amount of range, surprisingly. Because again, this is a arcade shooter, and so there is no realistic bullet drop or anything in this game like there is in other games. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, man, we're coming to the end of the class setup tips and tricks video. If you guys want me to go in really in depth with builds, understanding what attachments do what, there's a lot of really finite details you can really learn about this game. But that's a really basic way of understanding how to build a class. I would say for people who are struggling to reach out to me on Discord, and I can coach you along in IRL. Like I can join a party for you. You can share play your screen, and I can walk you through it better. Right? It might be an hour-long conversation because there's a lot of information and that I left out of this video simply because of time. But I'm more than welcome to help somebody out if they would like to be coached along, because this can be a little bit frustrating. And honestly, the most important thing in this game is not accuracy. It's not being accurate. It's not about knowing the maps as much. It's really the biggest part of this game is learning how to build, because I've seen so many people who have really shitty builds but have map knowledge get absolutely smoked, and I've seen guys with really good builds who have no map knowledge and no knowledge period of the game other than building guns, and they smoke people. So keep that in mind, man. The guns will carry you super far in this game when it comes to skill, because this is modern COD, and modern COD is a lot different than it was 5-10 years ago. So that being said, man, I appreciate every single one of you guys for the love and support recently. If you found this video helpful, again, leave a like, subscribe, share to your friends that maybe are less skilled than you, or maybe more skilled than you. Maybe they'll learn something too. If you feel like I've said something that doesn't make sense in this video and you want me to go into more depth and detail in it, let me know down below, because sometimes I do say things and they don't make sense, and sometimes I have to elaborate. So maybe I did that this video, I don't know. If I did, let me know down below. Just be respectful about it, of course. And I love you guys. And yeah, we got tons of content coming. Got rage videos, got nuke videos, all that type of stuff planned for the future. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that. And if you are subscribed, make sure you turn the little bell on. The little ding 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 ding, the little bell, man. Because YouTube is weird and doesn't always like to send my videos out to people. So thank you, YouTube. Much love, brother. With that being said, I love you guys. You're one of a kind. You're beautiful. Until the next one, later.